Good morning, everyone. I am Avijit, faculty of Dr. B.C. Engineering College, Durgapur. Welcome you all to my online presentation on development of fuzzy-based methodologies for decision-making problems. These are the contents of my presentation. Here we start with the introduction of my work on decision making. Decision making is an unavoidable part of our life. Sometimes a decision made could result in a life-changing event, both in positive or negative way. Fuzzy decision-making helps in selecting the best alternatives in case of imprecise, incomplete, and vague information. Uncertainty occurs due to insufficient data, lack of evidence, imperfect statistical analysis, etc. Due to uncertainties in real-life decision-making problems, the decision-makers have difficulties in assigning deterministic value as scoring of alternatives or importance of criteria. Some of real-life examples of decision-making are deciding what to wear, decision-making in human resources, decision-making in marketing. These are the some reasons which motivated us to work on this field. Interval type 2 Phi sets tackles uncertainties in more convenient way than Phi sets, which motivated us to address the real-life problems in MCDA problems using interval type 2 Phi sets. There is a wide range of application of correlation coefficient index in MCDA problems, but there is no such uses of correlation coefficient for interval type 2 Phi sets to solve MCDA problems. Topsis and Vickers method have intensive ability to solve immediate problems. So we continue to study on probabilistic interval value hesitant Phi sets and its application in Topsis and Vickers method. In certain real-life situations, the sum and square sum of membership grade and non-membership grade of the attributes are greater than 1. In order to resolve this issue, we introduce the novel idea of interval-valued intuitionistic linear dipentine Phi sets. In most of the inventory problems, the parameters and boundary conditions are considered as random variables or fuzzy variables. That motivated us to introduce fuzzy production inventory model. Here we discuss with some of the objective of this thesis. Solving multi-criteria decision-making problem is the main objective of this thesis. The other objectives are to develop efficient ranking method for interval value type 2 Phi sets, to test the robustness of ranking method, design ranking algorithm for solving MCDA problems in interval value type 2 Phi sets, to introduce Topsis and Vickers method for probabilistic interval valued hesitant Phi sets, develop new extension of linear dipentine Phi sets such as interval valued linear dipentine Phi sets, and design a fuzzy production inventory model to solve decision-making problems. The proposed methods in this thesis are ranking algorithm for solving MCDA problems in interval value type 2 Phi set using centroid values and correlation coefficient, extended Topsis and Vickers method for probabilistic interval value hesitant Phi set, introduce interval value intuitionistic linear dipentine Phi set to solve MCDA problems, present a fuzzy production inventory model by using granular differentiability approach. Based on the concept of centroid point, and we define the centroid point values of interval value type to Phi number. First of all, we can calculate the upper centroid point value and lower centroid point value for interval value type 2 fuzzy numbers, and their average will give the centroid point values for interval value type 2 fuzzy numbers. Correspondingly, we calculate the centroid point values for interval value type 2 triangular fuzzy number as well as trapezoidal fuzzy number. Next, we find the rank index for interval value type 2 fuzzy numbers, which is the average of uh, rank index of upper and lower rank index of A, where A is the interval value type 2 fuzzy number. Now, based on this concept, we find the rank index for interval value type 2 triangular fuzzy number and interval value type 2 trapezoidal fuzzy number. Here alpha here alpha represents the degree of optimism. Now we follow these steps to rank any two interval value type 2 fuzzy numbers. First, the rank priority is given to the centroid point values of interval value type 2 fuzzy numbers. If the uh, centroid point values of A1 is greater than the centroid point value of A2, then we can say A1 is greater than A2. If the centroid point values of A1 is less than the centroid point value of A2, then we can say A1 is less than A2 or smaller than A2. Now, if the centroid point value of A1 equal to A2, then we go to the rank index for A1 and A2. Now, if the rank index of A1 is greater than rank index of A2, then we can say A1 is greater than A2. Similarly, if the rank index of A1 is less than rank index of A2, then we can say A1 is smaller than A2. In next step, if the rank index as well as the centroid point values are same for A1 and A2, then we go to the heights of the fuzzy numbers. So if the height of A1 is greater than the height of A2, then you can say A1 greater than A2. Similarly, if the height of A1 is less than height of A2, then we can say A1 is less than A2. Lastly, if the centroid point values as well as rank index and the heights are same, then we can say A1 equal to A2. These are the figures in this slide presents the set of fuzzy numbers that are used to compare the rank index. Here we calculate the rank values of those fuzzy numbers using centroid ranking methods, and these are simultaneously compared with some previous used ranking method. In case of first set of fuzzy numbers, all the methods are give same ranking values or same ranking results. In case of second set of fuzzy numbers, the most of methods shows two fuzzy numbers are same, but it is clear from the picture that they are not same. But our proposed method, but by our proposed method, we can rank them. In case of third set of fuzzy numbers, some of the methods are not give the rank values or ranking result for uh, A to fuzzy sets, but by our method we can rank them. Similarly for the fourth set of fuzzy numbers. Now we will go through the algorithm of centroid ranking to solve MCD problems. Here we assume n number of alternatives and m number of attributes and k number of decision makers. The algorithm is described by these following steps. First of all, we construct the weighted decision matrix for the pth decision maker for the decision matrix from the decision matrix and weighted matrix. Next, we calculate the weighted decision matrix. Using the centroid index formula, we obtain the centroid value matrix from average weighted decision matrix. In next step, we calculate the average agreement degree matrix. And lastly, we calculate the rank values of the alternatives. So here, the largest rank value, the better will be the rank order of the alternatives. Now, another ranking method for interval value type to fudge numbers is defined using correlation coefficient. The correlation coefficient is obtained by using Mellin transform. So first of all, we define the Mellin transform. So if fx be a probability density function, then Mellin transform of fx is defined by this formula. Correspondingly, we can calculate the mean mu1 by this. Now, if uh, a be any interval value type to fuzzy numbers, then the interval mean of that interval value type to fuzzy numbers is given by this expected intervals, which is calculated using this Mellin transform. Now, using this expected mean, we can find the correlation coefficient between, or we define the correlation coefficient between two fuzzy numbers, interval type two fuzzy numbers a1 and a2. So, the correlation coefficient between these two fuzzy numbers is defined here. Now, the algorithm is described by this following step. First of all, we construct the pth decision matrix based on the performance values of the alternatives. Next, we calculate the average decision matrix, which is obtained by the average of all decision matrix. Then we construct the weighted matrix for the pth decision maker for the attributes. Next step, we find the average of weighted matrix. Then the weighted average decision matrix is formed using the average decision matrix and average weighted matrix. In next step, we calculate the expected interval corresponding to each uh, element for weighted average decision matrix using Mellin transform. Then the expected non-ideal interval is obtained from this formula, obtained from using this formula. In next step, we calculate the weighted correlation coefficient between non-ideal alternatives and any alternatives. Then we calculate the average correlation coefficient, which is the average of the weighted correlation coefficient of the alternatives. Finally, we calculate the rank values. The more the rank values, the better will be the alternatives. Now, for our comparison studies or case studies, here we consider a car sharing problem where we consider three alternatives are there A1, A2, A3, and correspondingly three decision makers are there D1, D2, D3. They want to evaluate the performance of the car based on the given criteria safety, price, appearance, and performance. Now, the linguistic terms are used to define the performance values and the weights of the attributes, and the equivalent performance values are presented in form of interval value type 2 fuzzy numbers. In both the cases, the rank of the alternatives are same. Now we describe the algorithm of Topsis method by forming the decision matrix whose elements in form of interval valued intuitionistic hesitant fuzzy numbers together with the probability Pij. Using the Hadamard product between the opinion values and corresponding possible membership degree, we obtain the probabilistic interval valued hesitant fuzzy matrix, which is denoted by B bar here. Next, we obtain the ideal solution, the positive ideal and the negative ideal solution, which calculated using this formula. This formula here, U1 here U1 is the set of benefit attributes and UT is the cost attributes. Next, we calculate the similarity degree between positive ideal solution and any alternatives is obtained by this formula. Similarly, we can calculate the similarity degree between negative ideal solution and any alternatives. In next step, the uh, optimal weight is calculated using this forming this LP model, which is constructed from this similarity degrees. After solving this LP problem, we obtain the optimal weights. After obtaining these optimal weights, we calculate the closeness coefficient corresponding to each alternative. Based on these values, we rank the alternatives as increasing values of closeness coefficient. Now we describe the ranking algorithm for Fickle method. First, we find the ideal solution corresponding to benefit and cost attributes. In next step, we calculate the average and the force group score Sj and Rj respectively. Next, next step we calculate the Fickle index Qj. Here, the based on the Fickle index, we rank the alternative. The smallest Fickle index is determined the best alternatives here. Now for the case study, we consider the supplier selection problem. And we see in both the methods, in Vickers as well as Topsys, give same results, or that the rank of the alternatives are same in using both the methods. Using both methods. Here we presented some comparative studies which is compared with some previously used methods with our proposed methods Topsys and Vickers. Next, here we define the new concept of interval value linear Diophantine phi sets. So actually an interval value linear Diophantine phi sets, L is represented by interval value membership function and interval value non-membership function together with the preference parameter alpha and beta, where the sum of the preference parameters will be less than 1, where the sum of this preference parameter will be less than 1. Now we define some score and accuracy function for this interval value linear Diophantine phi sets. Extended score function, correspondingly extended accuracy function, new score function, and new accuracy function is defined like this. Now, based on this score and accuracy function, we try to rank the alternatives. These are the steps are used to rank the alternatives. So, if we consider A1 and A2 be two alternatives, so these are the steps. So, if the score of A1 is greater than score of A2, then we can say A1 greater than A2. Similarly, if the score of A1 is less than score of A2, then we can say A1 less than A2 or A1 is smaller than A2. Now, if the score of A1 equal to score of A2, then we go to the accuracy function. Then, if accuracy function of A1 is greater than accuracy function of A2, then we can say A1 greater than A2. Similarly, if accuracy function of A1 is less than accuracy function of A2, then we can say A1 less than A2. And lastly, if the score as well as accuracy function are same, then we can say A1 equal to A2. Now, due to some limitation of this score and accuracy function, we introduce new improved score function. Now, using this, we use this score and accuracy. We use this new improved score function for ranking the alternatives. So here is the steps. So if the score of A1 is greater than score of A2, then we can say A1 greater than A2. Similarly, if the score of A1 is less than score of A2, then we can say A1 less than A2. And if score of A1 equal to score of A2, then we can say A1 equal to A2. Now we discuss on decision making based on fuzzy differentiability approach. The model is here. The model is a single period production inventory model in finite time horizon with fuzzy production fuzzy parameters. Here, preservation technology is used in this model. Now, our objective is to determine the optimal preservation cost while maximize the total profit per unit time. Now, here is the step to obtain the optimal policy. So, first of all, the fuzzy Hamiltonian function is formed. Next, we defuzify the Hamiltonian function using granular differentiability approach. And next, we find the control variable. After that, we find the co-state variable, and lastly, we can calculate the state variables using this formula. Now, we present some graph that represent the relation between different parameters like stock rate, preservation cost, time, etc. Now, from these graphs, decision maker not only get the better knowledge about the preservation amount, but also get the proper amount of money that can be spent on preservation technology. These are the graphs. Now, in this study, we focused on developing a new ranking method for interval value type 2 5 sets to solve MCD problems or MAGDA problems. The extended Topsis and Vickers method for probabilistic interval value hesitant 5 sets introduce the new concept of interval valued intuitionistic linear Diophantine 5 set as an extension of linear Diophantine 5 set to solve MHD problems. Granular differentiability approach has been used to solve the proposed fuzzy dynamic system. In future, interval value type 2 5 set may be utilized in data mining, also with the help of general interval value type 2 5 set uncertainty. Some new score and accuracy function or aggregation function can be defined for interval value linear dependent 5 set as well as probabilistic interval value hesitant 5 set. This interval value linear dipentine 5 set can be applied in rough set, hesitant 5 set as well as in fuzzy graphs and many more. Granular differentiability approach can be extended to the model in type 2 fuzzy environment. These are the publication of my research. These are the publication of these are some references. Lastly, thank to all of you.